Picture this. John and Jane, a couple who've been together for years, are in a heated argument over a trivial issue. As the conflict escalates, John feels his temper rising and starts shouting. Jane, feeling hurt, retaliates with her own angry words. Soon, what started as a minor disagreement spirals into a full-blown battle, with both partners feeling hurt and misunderstood. Eventually, John can't take it anymore, and he storms out of the room, angry, hurt, and wishing things could be different. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Conflict in relationships is normal and inevitable, but if handled in the wrong way, it can put a strain on even the most robust relationships. That's why, in today's episode of the Anger Secrets podcast, I will share with you my top 5 tips for navigating conflict in relationships. Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Anger Secrets podcast. I'm Alistair Hughes, and over the last 30 years, I've taught over 10,000 men and women how to control their anger, master their emotions, and create calmer, happier, and more respectful relationships. In this podcast, I share practical strategies and real-life stories to help you control your anger, master your emotions, and create calmer, happier relationships. For free support on your anger management journey, including free training and the opportunity to book a free 20-minute anger assessment call with me, visit my website, angersecrets.com. I look forward to talking with you. Now, let's jump into my top 5 tips for navigating conflict in relationships. Tip 1. Control your anger. The first step for navigating conflict in relationships is to control your anger. While this may seem like an obvious tip coming from an anger management specialist, it's an important one. When you're in the heat of an argument, it's easy to let your emotions get the better of you and become overwhelmed by anger. When this happens, it can be difficult to think straight and find a constructive way to resolve the dispute. To keep your anger in check, practice the techniques I've taught in previous episodes of this podcast. Notice your early warning signs of anger and do some positive self-talk to stop your anger from escalating. If all else fails, take a time out using the process I have discussed in the previous episode. The critical thing to remember is that while it's important to express your opinion and stand up for yourself, it's not okay to act out of your anger. Tip 2. Don't try to win the argument. My second tip is to remember that the goal of a disagreement should never be to win the argument. Arguing is not about proving who's right or wrong. It's about finding a constructive way to reach a resolution both people can accept. Trying to win an argument often leads to resentment and more arguments down the line. Instead of focusing on proving your point, focus on understanding your partner's perspective and finding a win-win solution to the conflict. As a client of mine often says, winning is losing. In other words, if you try to win the argument, your partner loses, meaning your relationship has lost in the long run. Tip 3. Listen to understand. My third tip for navigating conflict in relationships is to listen to your partner with the intention of understanding. This is very different to what many people do in arguments, which is to listen with the intent of responding to or defeating their partner's perspective. Listening with the intention of understanding helps prevent the conversation from spiraling into an argument. Listening with the intention of understanding also makes it far more likely that you will consider your partner's point of view and feelings, which will also lead to a more positive outcome. Furthermore, listening to understand makes you more likely to ask your partner questions about the situation. I can't tell you how many times I've witnessed couples argue about something, only to realize that they did not know why the other person was saying what they were saying. When you ask your partner questions, you will clarify the issue and perhaps realize things about the situation that you hadn't thought about before. Tip 4. Be respectful. My fourth tip is to remember to be respectful. Healthy conflict means establishing and maintaining mutual respect. It's easy to forget this when you are in a heated argument with your partner, but it's important not to let anger take over. With couples I work with, I encourage them to set some basic ground rules before entering into any discussion that may be conflictual. These ground rules often include something like no name calling, no interrupting, no raising your voice, no personal attacks, and so on. Not only does setting some basic ground rules help prevent destructive behaviour, but it also helps to create a safe environment for both partners to express their feelings. Tip 5. Choose your battles wisely. My last tip is to choose your battles wisely. Not every issue needs to be argued about, so deciding which ones should be discussed and which ones should be let go is important. If an issue is important, then by all means discuss it. But know that some issues are not worth arguing about, so be willing to let go of these and move on. A simple way to do this is to ask yourself, is this worth arguing about? If the answer is no, then let it go and focus your energy on more meaningful conversations. So, those are my 5 tips for navigating conflict in relationships. To recap, these tips are: Tip 1. Control your anger. Tip 2. Don't try to win the argument. Tip 3. Listen to understand. Tip 4. Be respectful. And Tip 5. Choose your battles wisely. I hope these tips help you to create calmer, happier, and more respectful relationships. Remember to practice the anger management techniques I've taught here on the podcast, and use these 5 tips to help you better navigate conflict with your partner. Okay, that's all for today's episode on how to navigate conflict in your relationship. Be sure to tune into the next episode to review your understanding of what is anger, abuse, and violence. If you found this episode helpful, please follow this podcast and head over to your favourite podcast app and leave a rating and review. This will help other people struggling with anger find and benefit from this show. Remember, for free support on your anger management journey, including free training and the opportunity to book a free 20-minute anger assessment call with me, visit my website, angersecrets.com. I look forward to helping you control your anger once and for all. And finally, remember, you can't control other people, but you can control yourself. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
The Anger Secrets podcast is for general informational purposes only, and does not constitute the practice of counseling, psychotherapy, or any other professional health service. No therapeutic relationship is implied or created by this podcast. If you have mental health concerns of any type, please seek out the help of a local mental health professional.